Hi, I'm Vincent, and welcome to Chapter 1, The Paradoxes, Oxymorons, and Myths of Education. What is remarkable is that we, in one chapter, are going to take on all this, straighten it all out for you, and you can put aside most books you're even contemplating reading in education. In this chapter, we are going to address some issues of how to think and rethink about data. But before we get started on that, I want to share with you a story. Doug Grove, Mike Corrigan, and I were all part of a research study that was going on in North Carolina. And we were looking at schools and transforming schools, making schools better for kids and teachers and parents and everyone that had any interest in this. And in one school in particular, I was the outside director of the project. I'd been in this school, and to be honest with you, you wouldn't have wanted your kids in this school. Kids would run down the hall screaming, coming in late to school, foul language, high suspensions. I mean, to the point to where kids were being sent to the office for fighting, and they would fight in the office. And I don't know where you're from, but that's just not a smart thing to be doing. The principal who was there decided to retire, and a new principal came into the building named John Carlos Miller. John Carlos has become a friend of ours, but at first we were looking at, okay, here's a principal, but we want to share with you this data. We were using our multidimensional assessment data, and we were giving a complete 360-degree picture of the school from the perspective of parents, students, and the faculty there, and putting it all together in 7 dimensions that you'll learn about a little later in this chapter. John Carlos looked at that data and literally said to us, this is the best data I've ever seen. It's given me information on everything about my school, and here's what he did. He met with every faculty member over the summer. He hired faculty members and said, this is what we're going to address. We have concerns here. We're going to address these concerns because I think if we address these concerns regarding behavior and climate and faculty trust and fidelity, that just maybe our academics will improve. And what a notion, what an idea, that if we address multiple factors, maybe the outcomes will be better, at least on the achievement test. So the faculty came together, they all made a commitment, this is what they wanted to do, and they did it. They started working hard. In 2 years, they increased their math outcomes by nearly 60%. They increased their reading outcomes by over 20%. Office referrals dropped, suspensions dropped, parent involvement increased, athletics got better, the band got better, people were happy in the school. And what they were doing is that they were using data to drive their decision making. This school is a turnaround school, and I'm really proud to say that several years afterwards, and John has now left the school, John Carlos is a principal at a high school now, the faculty were so tuned in to looking at data, getting data, making decisions, that even after a few years, the excellence is still there. And this is a Title I school that is one of the top performing schools. So clearly, it can't be about economics. There has to be a lot of other factors that will improve and impact on achievement. In this chapter, we're going to address some of those. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to take some strategies, learn how to think about data. Because data is what we need, but how we think about it matters. We're going to introduce you to the 7 dimensions of educational thinking that really are powerful in that these multiple dimensions influence what happens in schools. It's just not, if you want to improve curriculum, you just can't focus on curriculum. There are other things you have to consider. We're also going to introduce you to something that I like called the oxymoronic paradox identification test. And I took the test and I made an A! And maybe you can take the test. You may not be quite that high, and that's okay. I felt very comfortable taking the test. Actually, it's not really a test, but it is something I think you'll enjoy learning about. We're also going to examine the courtship of Eddie and Eva and their relationship on schools. And this is very important. And I don't want to spoil it before we get into it, but I think you'll like this. And at the very end of the chapter, we're going to examine something that I'll bet you've thought about. What do we mean by 100% proficiency? Is that even possible, and how can we think about it? You're going to like this chapter. Mike and Doug will be along with providing some excellent insights in it, and I'll see you later on. Thanks.